Hello everyone, and welcome back to World Builder. In this episode, we're going to be finishing up the docks for the most part, aside from a couple minor details. In the last episode, we did all the terraforming for the area to get it nice and ready for what's going to be going on in this episode. So, to start things off, setting everything up with a nice birch plank dock base. I think it looks pretty good as a dock color, and I, can mix in a couple other blocks in there to give it a bit more variance, but it is kind of hard, because for my purposes, nothing contrasts, or nothing goes well enough with birch planks, because I'm using sandstone as kind of the border for the dock itself. So I can't really use sandstone with the birch planks, so, it's kind of difficult to really make anything out of that. But I am able to do sandstone, and that does look quite good. So, I don't want the docks to just be open to the sea, I want there to be some sort of barrier. So, initially, I designed that just with upside-down stairs. And then I went through a bunch of different designs before settling on this one here. And what this is, there is alternating slabs on the top, and on the bottom, instead of a stair and the gaps, it's a block. So it creates a cool looking effect where it's like slabs, so you can tell it's a barrier, but it's also not too heavily detailed as a barrier. I tried out some different kind of like bottom designs there as like extra supports, but I couldn't really make anything that I think looked good, so I didn't end up doing anything with that. So here we are mixing in some stripped birch logs into the dock. You can kind of tell they exist, kind of. But they add a bit more to it, make it a bit less plain. In terms of the textures that exist here. So, now, we're AFK, alright. Not sure, oh, it's probably testing out different block combinations there. Alright, I don't really remember why, I just kind of stopped. So, another thing that I did there is replacing the sand that was in front of the tower with birch planks also, just to really show that this is, once you've here, it's the dock area, and it's not like there's a bit of land and then the dock, like it just wouldn't look as good. So I go directly into the dock area. So, I'm also making some market stalls. And these market stalls are the type of market stalls that I should have made in the market when I made it initially. But I didn't. So, eventually, as I've said before, we're going to go back and redo the market. But this is kind of what it's going to look like once we get that done. So those are made. So this side I didn't plan out as much as I did the previous one, but pretty much everything that was done on that side will be replicated on this side. So some of the things to consider here is like placement of the little things that come out. I didn't want them to be too close together, because then there wouldn't be like a ship couldn't fit there, because that's like what their purpose is. But you also don't want them too far apart either. So I think the distance I made kind of works, kind of makes sense, and I think it fits in generally with what we're going for in terms of the looks. And the same slab stair pattern is repeated through this whole thing. And slabs are placed on top of the pillars. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but the pillars get slabs on them to provide a bit of an interesting effect. And once 1.14 comes out, I use sandstone slabs, but I can replace those with smooth sandstone slabs. So there's that. There's also markets on this side that are designed in a similar manner to the other ones, except these use different colors. Yeah, I know, it's so fancy. Yeah, pretty much the exact same, just with different colors. I tried to use 2 different colors of wool for each of the stalls. So I used like red and orange, blue cyan, green lime, I think gray, light gray, and like purple magenta for this one, and try to make it the roof, like the tent, kind of not a square, but also not a circle, with the bottom base being not a perfect circle either. It's kind of hard to explain exactly, but just make things random, but not like too random, I guess. So here, this is what was originally going to be here, like a statue of some kind on the little island that extended out here until I replaced it. So instead, we're building a statue. So I am not very good at building statues. In fact, before I made the statue in the plaza area inside the town, I had never designed a statue for myself ever. I had copied designs off of Google, but never had I designed one myself. So, with that in mind, this is what I was able to create. And, I go through a lot of changes here until I decide what looks good. And it takes a while for me to reach that point. But it's not hard. I feel like a lot of people don't want to build things like this because they don't think they're good enough at it. And I just want to say again, I had never made a statue before until I made the one in the plaza. And this one is just that same statue but on a larger scale. Some tips I guess I could try and give. I made the head a square because I think it works really well. And it's a very plain. It's different from the rest of the build, but it's very plain in itself. I also experimented with trying to give him things in his hands, and in the end I just decided to give him flags that are the town's colors, the red with the black in the middle. But again, with that statue, just, build whatever you think feels right. You don't have to worry about making it exact, but just build whatever you think will fit best for what you have. So, in this underground area, really this should have been differently terraformed, I think. It would have been better if I made the cliff a bit differently. But in the end, I think it turned out okay. There's sandstone at the bottom there to represent it's a market stall, and I used some banners there just to add a bit of color. One of those has melons in them, and the other one has pumpkins. And they all both have a chest in them, and I randomized some sandstone in the floor as well, just to create a bit more texture. And there's a brief overview of what everything looks like. So, now, I cleared out all those sea lanterns and added a bunch more on the bottom, because I'm building a ship. Now this is the second ship I've ever made, and the first one is gone. I don't know where it is. I think it's in a world that I deleted at some point. So the second ship I've ever made, and this one looks all right. For the effort I put into it, I feel like I got what I deserved for it. But yeah. So the mistake that I made in making this, and some of you may not think it's a mistake, but I personally don't like the way it looks. And that is, I made the shape of the boat itself using the stairs and blocks. I made it in line with the frame instead of putting it a block back. And because I did that, it just looks kind of odd. The frame itself doesn't stand out well enough because of that. So it's kind of, it's alright. And the shape itself is okay. Just using stairs to try and get a nice curve out of it, but not too blocky either. It's kind of a difficult thing to accomplish, but you just kind of feel it out. Designing a frame is probably the most important thing for it, to plan out the shape that you want, to where the back is higher, and stouter than the front, which is lower and a lot pointier, I guess. If you look up any picture of a ship, a real ship, you'll probably see what I'm talking about. And now the sails. So for the sails, I generally build up a mast like that and start with a full, like wool kind of thing, like a full wool sail where it curves outward, and then I just break a bunch of random blocks around the sides, and that kind of creates a nice effect. And with that, I'm going to leave this here. Leave a like, subscribe if you enjoy, leave a comment, any feedback you have for me, and I'll see all of you later. Bye.